Hello everyone, this is Wrestling Fan Talk here. So this is kind of crazy, but Wrestlemomics has reported that the most recent episode of AEW Dynamite on June 19th drew only 502,000 people on television. And reportedly it is a record low rating for the company as far as AEW Dynamite goes, the show itself. A record low number. Now, I don't think we know necessarily how the segments have broken down, how the rating has done segment by segment. I don't think we have that information yet. But 500,000, 502,000, that's it? That is sort of crazy, and it's gotta raise alarm bells for the company and people in wrestling in general. It was 681,000 last week. So that's a drop of basically 180,000 in just a week. This is just this is sad. And you hope that the company can turn it around. You know, they got Wembley later on this year. You know, they just got MJF back. But it's got to make you wonder what's causing this. Is it because of Forbidden Door? Because, you know, Forbidden Door, you bring in New Japan guys, you bring in the CMLL guys, you bring in guys that maybe the mainstream wrestling audience hasn't necessarily heard of because they haven't watched that product before. So you wonder maybe is that the ratings killer? Will the ratings go back up when Forbidden Door is over with? Maybe that's a possibility. We don't know yet. But the alarm bells have to be on high alert here. You hope that the company tightens up its storylines, and you hope that some things can get fixed. I hope this doesn't get blamed on Swerve Strickland as the champion. I hate the idea that Swerve, who's a performer I really admire, I hate the idea that he could get painted with the brush of being a low-drawing champion. Because I don't think it's his fault. I don't think it's MJF's fault. I don't think it's Will Ospreay's fault. There's just not stories on this show. It's just matches for the sake of matches. And you gotta fix that. And on a previous video, I mentioned Shane McMahon contacting AEW about possibly joining the company. If you get him in that creative room, you could really tighten up on some of these storylines. But as of right now, it's just sort of it's almost like matches for the sake of matches. And what stories they do tell aren't necessarily entirely fleshed out. And you'd like to see that change. I think you'd like to see that change. We all would. I don't think any of us want AEW to go out of business. You know, I know you get on Facebook and there's maybe a Facebook group or two here that likes to bash AEW, and fair play. You can have fun with that, but to actually see it go out of business would be a tragedy for pro wrestling, I think. Because I think it really does help the wrestlers. I really think it does help the business. But one must wonder what's causing all this. Because you remember when AEW first started, it was around 1 million and the 900,000 number, and it's been slowly but steadily decreasing ever since, losing momentum. Is this because of things that Tony Khan has said? The way he's booked? Well, I mean, heaven forbid it goes out of business. Because like I just said, I don't want that for the wrestling business in general, because I think it would be bad. But there does sort of have to be an investigation, a real thorough investigation, a research project as to why this is happening, why they keep losing viewers, why they keep losing interest. Because it seems like it's not just one thing. It seems like it's a whole bunch of things. Now, obviously, there was the CM Punk situation. The CM Punk situation with the Elite. And Jungle Boy Jack Perry, when that whole situation happened. Brawl out in 2022. at that all-out pay-per-view, and then a year later, obviously, with the situation at Wembley, when Jack Perry hit the glass and he said, "Cry me a river." And then CM Punk and Jack Perry had that fight, and it seemingly was like the Titanic hitting the iceberg. It seemingly has been going down ever since. And you hate to see that, because it's like you put the people are going to want to put the blame on the talent. And it's like Eric Bischoff says on 83 Weeks, I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's booking. I think it's bad PR at times. I think it's, quite frankly, I think they should run house shows. And I know people may scoff at that and go, well, hold on. They can't even fill, an arena on a Wednesday night Dynamite. Why run house shows? And my response to that would be, look, WWF was running house shows. WWE now, I call them WWF because I'm going back in time with this, but look, back in the 80s, they were running high school house shows. They would have an A house show loop, a B house show loop, and a C house show loop. Some of those house shows were at high schools, small gymnasiums. It's about promoting your product. I think it would help their in-match quality. Because back in the day, when you had a match on pay-per-view, oftentimes those two wrestlers were wrestling on house shows for weeks and months prior. So they had their timing and they had their reactions down, and they knew really how their match was going to be. I remember an old story, 1997, Randy Savage versus DDP at that Spring Stampede 1997 show in WCW. Well, they had a house show the previous night before, I believe it was, and the story was that Randy Savage allowed DDP to hit the Diamond Cutter for the win. And they got a massive reaction, and that told Randy Savage, that told him what that reaction would be when he allowed DDP to beat him at Spring Stampede with the Diamond Cutter. And so they went with it, and it launched DDP into this massive star. Not running house shows, I think, hurts AEW's in-ring product, and I think it hurts their ability to promote in a general area. You're not going to sell out arenas when you first start doing house shows, but if you do it right, if you promote your product, and you're fan-friendly, and you do the proper advertising and get good word of mouth, then I think it helps. If you're in Ohio, and you do a little three-show house show loop, a three-show house show loop, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, and you get with the radio host. You do it the first time. Maybe you draw 100 people, but then you keep doing advertising with the radio show host, with the local bars. You get good word of mouth, and they say this was a great show. They post it on Facebook. They talk about how great it was. Great fan interaction, a good time. Maybe the next time you get 200 people. And then you keep doing that, and you keep doing it, and you build up your market. That's pro wrestling. People are going to scoff at that, but that's been pro wrestling forever. Every major territory did house show loops. Every major territory had the quote-unquote towns that they ran regularly in. I think AEW needs to do the same thing, to build their product on that groundswell level, to make it matter, because each individual fan matters. It's like in WWE when Cody Rhodes stays after a show to make sure all the fans get autographs, or when John Cena used to do that sort of thing. Why is that so important? Because you're attending to each individual fan. You're making them feel important. And when you do that, it creates long-lasting loyalty to your brand, which I think is something AEW is missing now. Because when you go back and you look at their numbers when they first started, and you look at them now. When your numbers drop like that precipitously year over year, that means you're kind of losing brand loyalty. And you have to earn that back. You have to work for that back. And it's something I hope they do, because I don't want to see another wrestling company go out of business like WCW did back in the day. I hope AEW turns this around, but 502,000 on your primetime show, your main show, that is Just not a good sign, guys. That's all for this one. Wrestling Fan Talk out.